delivered. Guam AutoSpot is extending our overstock sell-off with the hottest deals on island, like our 2025 GMC Canyon with $4,000 off. Or slide into a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, starting at just $24,995. September is your chance to drive big and save even bigger. Visit us today or get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO. Guam AutoSpot, where the savings never stop.
Buy fuel, get Wendy's. Drive to your nearest 76 Circle K and get free Wendy's. Yes, free. Fuel up with $30 and score your choice of a 6-piece crispy chicken nuggets or a juicy junior cheeseburger deluxe. Fresh, hot, and packed with flavor. But hurry, quantities are limited and this delicious deal won't last long. So hit the road to 76 Circle K, fuel up, and get Wendy's free before it's gone.
It's me, Wednesday Addams. I regret to inform you that I have devised the meal of misfortune with Wendy's. Normally I'd be against this type of capitalistic corporate synergy. But when the other pigtailed provocateur said I could concoct my own Frosty, I melted. My meal is tribute to the suffering that awaits us all. It's pure torture for your taste buds, with 4 nightmarish dips of dread. Don't waste my time asking which ones you'll get. You must surrender to your fate. Enjoy the anguish.
Dare to try? Something new? Life's too short!
You gotta chill with a snackable drink.
Life is too short. Hey, you gotta chill.
Mogu Mogu.
Moku moku! Kandit News is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Good evening, my dear friends. It is 8:42 p.m. on Saturday, September 13, 2025. My name is Troy Torres, and I've missed you. It's been quite a few days since I've gone live. I have a doctor's note. I literally did go to the doctor. So over the past several days, not today though. Today I was very well, very much well. My first day to be well. So the 3 days prior to that, I just had this, I would wake up in the morning and 10 minutes later, I would have this nagging headache. It would start right here and then it would travel over here and then it would go to the side. And so I looked it up myself, like I should not have, and discovered that, and I told myself, oh, I have a sinus and maybe a migraine headache. And so I would take Excedrin and it would go away for a few hours and then it would come back at night. It would be 3 times, it would be twice, and it was pretty debilitating. It wasn't sharp or anything, but it was nagging, and I hate headaches, and I hardly get them, right. And so I did I did what I normally do in situations like this, and I diagnosed myself with things that I didn't have, and so I scheduled an appointment with AMC with Dr. Fran, and I was like, Dr. Fran, I think I have high blood pressure because I have sinus on my, so long story short, I get to AMC and she does this whole like workup, and she asked me a whole bunch of questions. She goes, "So what you're having is a tension headache." I don't have high blood pressure. My blood pressure was 108 over 62 or something ridiculously good like that. I've always had good blood pressure. I don't know. It runs in my family, heart problems. So I thought I'm 45 years old, maybe whatever, right? So that explains why. And I literally have a doctor's note. I haven't been active over the past several days, and I was able to work on a story. I am working on an investigative report involving the whole broadband thing over the CNMI. So I was able to work on that and bring it a little closer to completion, but I haven't been able to work on our ongoing investigation into the contracts that the Tenorio family has had while or since Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio has been the lieutenant governor. Until today, I was able to concentrate on today on disclosures that I got from the Department of Chammoro Affairs. And so I want to briefly explain that to you. And you can read more about this in the news story that I published about, I want to say 2 hours ago, for more details on this, because I wanted to go into a certain angle here. But essentially, so what we're seeing in this latest report, and we've been doing a bunch of these, right? Thanks to Joan Charfris, investigative reporter with KOAM News. She started this she pioneered this whole thing for the media here in Guam when she started to look into the Tiguac Cemetery contract that Department of Parks and Recreation had with Comfort Cuts, which is owned and operated by Frankie Rosalind and Charissa Tenorio. Charissa Tenorio is the lieutenant governor's sister. Frankie Rosalind is her boyfriend. Both of them, Frankie Rosalind and Charissa Tenorio, along with the lieutenant governor's boyfriend, Matthew Tapasnia, and 4 other people were indicted on June 25th, 2025. On a slew of corruption charges involving allegations that they stole at least $1.9 million from the federal government and from poor people in a completely unrelated case to what we're talking about now. So, wow, that was kind of a long string of thoughts. That it's been a while. Good evening, Jen, Teresa, Jonathan, Millie. Good evening to all of you who are watching this live. For those thousands of you who will be watching this in the replay, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your time and your trust and your confidence in us and in, whatever my opinions are. And please put your opinions in the comments. I value everybody's opinions. I do not value bigoted comments. I will absolutely, or comments that incite violence, I will absolutely delete those. If you put a comment that incites violence, I will block you. If you put a bigoted comment, I will delete your comment because I've been doing this. This has been the policy for the past more than a year. I will continue to do so. Otherwise, any comment that you have, I value it. Anyway, so we took off from where Joan Charfris started, and she has been cranking out these reports as well. And we went into the whole Tiguac Cemetery thing as well. We were able to confirm that the Attorney General of Guam, Douglas Moylan, has started a corruption investigation involving that contract. That investigative report morphed into our findings that Department of Corrections inmates were used during the same time that Comfort Cuts was charging the people of Guam, that saying that they were the ones who cut the grass over at Tiguac Cemetery, etc., etc., etc. Hi, Mac Michelle Graceland. Is that your full name, your full first name, or is that a combination of names? Because that's a pretty cool name, Mac Michelle Graceland. So, we are just about done with that whole Tiguac Cemetery. There are still some unanswered questions in the Tiguac Cemetery thing, but we've sort of moved on to Department of Chammoro Affairs. And by the way, Comfort Cuts has contractual or had financial transactions with several government of Guam agencies since Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio became the Lieutenant Governor. What we've reported to you so far is just the tip of the iceberg. And so, hi, Tokahau. And so we've moved on to Department of Chammoro Affairs. In our last report about Comfort Cuts' financial transactions with Department of Chammoro Affairs, we were showing that, I can't remember the exact amount, but I think it was 138,000 or 100 something thousand. Hold on, let me see if I can have it, if I can see it here. It was just a little north of $100,000 that we were able to tally from purchase orders that were previously disclosed to us by the Department of Chamorro Affairs President Melvin Juan Pat Borja back in February. And so we followed up by asking for other documents, including invoices from Department of Chamorro Affairs involving Comfort Cuts and another Charissa Tenorio, Frankie Rosalind related company or business that we will disclose later. While we're still on Chammoro Village. There's still Guam Museum to go, and then there's something else involving Chammoro Village, but involving Comfort Cuts and Chammoro Village, and only for fiscal year 7 months, the last 7 months of fiscal year 2020, from the start of the pandemic in March 2020 to September 2020. Fiscal year 2021, which is October 2020 to September 2021, and fiscal year 2022, which is October 2021 to September 2022. And understanding for a great deal of these 3 fiscal years, during the duration of these 3 fiscal years or portions of, the island was in a lockdown. Chammoro Village was closed. The main attraction, being the Wednesday night market, did not reopen until May 4 of 2022. Within this period, Comfort Cuts invoiced. Now, we're unsure if they were paid this full amount. We are pretty sure, but we are not 100% certain because we don't have the receipts, which is what I want to talk about mainly in this. They invoiced, meaning they billed the people of Guam $128,000 during this period. And mind you, in those first 7 months when some of the larger payments were made, we were in an absolute lockdown in this island, meaning the governor of Guam told all of us, instituted policies where we could not, beyond a certain limitation, associate with each other, go to places, much less the Chammoro Village. The Chammoro Village was not open. And yet, in the summer months of 2020, for each of those months, the Department of Chamorro Affairs was paying, or Comfort Cuts was billing the Department of Chamorro Affairs $6,300 a month to clean a facility that was not in use whatsoever and to cut the grass there. What grass, right? Teresa Garcia asked that in the story that we published. There's not that much grass at Chammoro Village. Yeah, Teresa, you're absolutely right. There's not that much grass at Chammoro Village. There's not that much grass at the Guam Museum either, but Comfort Cuts charged quite a penny to cut that grass, those little pieces of grass over at the Guam Museum to the people of Guam. But we'll get to that story in a bit. So what this story that we published tonight is, emphasizes is the use of public funds. And Department of Chamorro Affairs is not a big agency. It's not a big line agency of the government of Guam, and it has its mandates. And as a percentage of the percentage, the amount of money paid to Comfort Cuts for cleaning in these 3 fiscal years as a percentage of what Department of Chamorro Affairs spends on its purpose is astounding. It really is. And when you consider, I think as a taxpayer, right, the real thing here is it wasn't even open. It wasn't even in use. Why were we paying? And then on top of that, we were paying the full salaries of the employees of the Chammoro Village and the Department of Chamorro Affairs. Because if there was no foot traffic, except for maybe homeless people at Chammoro Village, or people who would go on a walk whenever that part of the lockdown was lifted over at Chammoro Village, then there should have been very little to clean up over at Chammoro Village during this period. And if the employees of Chammoro Village were being paid by the taxpayers full salaries and they had nothing else to do because they weren't even allowed to come into the office, why didn't they just clean this outdoor area of the Chammoro Village? Why did we have to continue with a contract paying the lieutenant governor's family thousands of dollars a month? But that's not even what gets my goat here. about this whole thing. If you notice in the story, what concerns me the most about our investigative look into this is the information that we're not getting. Number one, I asked the General Services Agency, which is the procurement arm of the government of Guam, for the same documents about this whole Comfort Cuts contract with Department of Chammoro Affairs. And their response to me was that they don't have these documents, that whatever it is that they sent me, that's all they have. So they didn't disclose. The procurement arm of the government of Guam, at least they say, they don't have these documents involving a procurement, multiple procurements between the Department of Chammoro Affairs and the family of the Lieutenant Governor of Guam. That's one thing. The second thing is that in these disclosures, we're not seeing contracts. We're not seeing documents showing that there was a competitive bid process, because what we are seeing is that for the totality of the contract or the totality of the work within a given fiscal year, the work exceeds the $25,000 procurement threshold. Anything greater than $24,999.99 within a given fiscal year must go through some sort of a competitive process, whether it's an IFB or an RFP. For all three of these fiscal years, the cost exceeded $24,999.99 for each of these fiscal years. And the first fiscal year was, I think, $33,000. And the second fiscal year was $31,000. In the third fiscal year, it was $66,000, if I'm not mistaken. All of it exceeding the $25,000 threshold. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't do competitive bids, but all I'm saying is that they didn't disclose any documents that show that there was a competitive process. Furthermore, the purchase orders that they did disclose did not indicate anywhere that these purchase orders came from an authority that was based on what? What procurement authority was it based on? Was it based on some sort of emergency power that the governor gave? Was it based on some type of IFB that was issued? And then where are the documents that show, who made bids and how much each of these bids were, so we can see that Comfort Cuts came in as the lowest for these services for Chammoro Village. These documents don't exist in the disclosures that were given to us by Department of Chammoro Affairs. But the third and most alarming thing about our investigative report is the failure of the Department of Administration, which is the cash agency of the government of Guam. It's the agency that holds the money and that writes the checks. Has not, since a FOIA, since a Freedom of Information Act demand for disclosure of documents made on August 20, 2025, disclosed to us the receipts of these transactions, the payments that were made to Comfort Cuts. And it's not because we haven't tried. We sent that on August 20. We followed up, I believe, August 24. We followed up again, August 28. With Edward Byrne, the Director of Administration, we followed up several times with the Governor's Director of Communications, Crystal Paco San Augustine. Each time we would follow up, she would ask us to forward us the email again, forward me the email again, forward me the email again. Multiple times we have followed up for these public records to show how much money was paid to the Lieutenant Governor's family, not just on the Comfort Cuts contract with Department of Chammoro Affairs for Chammoro Village, and not just for the Department of Chammoro Affairs for Guam Museum, and not just for Department of Parks and Recreation for Tiwak Cemetery. I'm talking about for every single agency under the purview of the Department of Administration for which DOA wrote checks to Comfort Cuts, and any of the several businesses that are under Frankie Roslin and Charissa Tenorio. All of those receipts, all of those financial transactions, Department of Administration has failed to reply and to disclose those records. And that, my friends, is the most concerning thing of all in this entire story, because it tells me that the administration is hiding something, that there's something beyond the requisitions, the purchase orders, the contracts, and the invoices, that there's something funny happening with the actual payments that the Leandro Tenorio administration has been making since at least 2019 to the family of Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. I have never heard of a refusal to disclose documents like these. This is the first time in all my years in the government of Guam. Never ever heard of any director of administration, any government, anyone refusing to disclose public financial records. There have been refusals to disclose other things where some directors stupidly thought that there was a gray area, but not financial records that are obviously public records. So something is going on. And the fact that I've followed up several times with Crystal Pacos and Augustine, and she knows about this, and we still haven't received this disclosure of records, absolutely concerns me and makes me wonder what it is that the administration is hiding. And when you consider the amount of money that the administration is asking, demanding that the senators give to the governor, authorize the governor to take out and to use, I don't know, guys. You know, I don't believe that the governor is a corrupt woman. But at the same time, if her administration can't, one, stop the corruption of her lieutenant governor, and two, disclose simple financial records from her Department of Administration, I have a hard time then supporting anything that the governor wants to do in the way of money from now until the end of her term. And I really hope that both the Attorney General of Guam and the FBI and the U.S. Attorney are paying close attention to these reports and to what's happening and to the roadblocks that we're encountering as we're trying to uncover, as we're trying to follow the money that leads straight to Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. You all have a wonderful evening. I hope you all go to Mass tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Lord's Day. Please give him that 1 hour. I love you. Drive safely on your ways to wherever you're going tomorrow. Be safe, and God bless you all.
You asked, we delivered. Guam Auto Spot is extending our overstock sell-off with the hottest deals on island, like our 2025 GMC Canyon with $4,000 off. Or slide into a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, starting at just $24,995. September is your chance to drive big and save even bigger. Visit us today or get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO. Guam Auto Spot, where the savings never stop.
Buy fuel, get Wendy's. Drive to your nearest 76 Circle K and get free Wendy's. Yes, free. Fuel up with $30 and score your choice of a 6-piece crispy chicken nuggets or a juicy junior cheeseburger deluxe. Fresh, hot, and packed with flavor. But hurry, quantities are limited and this delicious deal won't last long. So hit the road to 76 Circle K, fuel up, and get Wendy's free before it's gone.
Dare to try? Something new? Life's too short!
You gotta chill with the snackable drink.
Life is too short. Hey, you gotta share.
Mogu Mogu.
Moku moku!